New NoteSchool students making it happen in the note space. Stay tuned. Welcome to this week's edition of NoteSchool TV, where every Wednesday at 11:05 Central Time, we bring you the most amazing guests, which we have today, and the most amazing content. So if you would, go ahead and hit that like button. Boom, go ahead and hit it now so that you don't forget. Subscribe if you have not already done so, and hit that bell notification. Boom, yes, go ahead and hit it now. And guys, if you please continue to send in your comments. We love getting those comments, hearing from you, what's important to you. Share with us your thoughts about the content on an episode, but please make sure, and well, that's how we know how we're doing, right? So go ahead and share your comments with us. And then if you would like to know more about what we do at NoteSchool, well, simply go to noteschool.com/TV. noteschool.com/TV. We would love to have you in one of our 2-hour master classes that is done by Mr. Eddie Speed and Mr. Max Keller. So, yeah, go ahead and do that. We'd love to have you in one of our three-day classes as well, but one of our 2-day master class or 2-hour master classes, guys. Get a little ahead of myself. So, let's do what we do every week at this time. Let's go to the news. Interest rates, right? So interest rates as of close of business yesterday, well, looks like they're, you've got a 740 to 759 credit score, and you've got 20% to put down as far as a down payment. And you're getting a $300,000 loan. A 3-year fixed is going to run about 7.364%. Wow, that FHA is 7.76, 7 3/4. The 15-year fixed is at 6.54, and these ARMs are, typically they're a point or so less than the fixed rates, but they're 7.336. If you have an 800 plus credit score, well, you'll get around 7.11. And guys, these are the APRs. These are the real costs of the loan over time. So just wanted to make you aware of that. And well, let's see. When will the housing inventory turn the corner? This is from Housing Wire, and just pulled this out this morning. And so when we look at this, as of the middle of May, right, 424,000 single family homes on the market. And it is the lowest, and the lowest point officially was right here in mid-April. And so we can see here that a year ago, inventory was rising at 4% a week. We're less than 1% a week at this point. So when is inventory going to turn the corner? It's certainly not going to do it. Didn't do it in May, and we'll just kind of have to see what's happening in June. But yeah, the spring buying season will be officially over here in about 2 weeks, and we'll see what the summer brings for us. But yep, we've got rates up, and we've got inventory, which, well, we still have a shortage of inventory. And finally in the news, the Realtor boom ends as the housing market kind of slumps through, right? So I'll read you some stats here. You can see how the number of realtors kind of shot up, and now it's well, let me check my notes out here. The number of realtors went from 1.372 million in March, in March of 22, 1.463 million, and a year ago it was 1.531. So 60,000 realtors have dropped out of the business in the last 6 months. And, it's inventory, it's the market, it is what is going on. Median prices declined just a bit in the U.S., and annualized realtor commissions hit a high of 84,355 in January of 21. And by April of this year, they have slumped down to $56,000 for Realtor. So, shot up during the pandemic when everybody was selling a house. It was easy to do business then, right? Because, well, everything was selling in a few days and over market. And then it adjusted, right? Which things do. Guys, we only bring this news to you because we want you to understand that, even though we see a lot of indicators that things are interesting, right? We want you to know that we would not bring these unless we knew that creative seller financing, buying and selling on creative terms, is the way for all of us to thrive in a market with tightening credit, less loan opportunities, and all of that. So with that, I think we will drop that off, and we're going to introduce our guests for today. So let's bring on, these guys are brand new NoteSchool students. About 90 days. So they're just kind of getting indoctrinated into the system, and we are so glad to have them from South Carolina, Vince and Jean Petrell.
Joe, how you doing?
Hey, Joe. How are you?
Welcome, guys.
How are you?
I'm good. Looking good this morning, right?
Well, thank you. You too.
Yeah. So, what do you think about the news? I mean, it's pretty interesting as far as as far as things go.
It is. A little bit with the interest rates, it's a little concerning. One of the things, we have a son that graduated a year and a half ago, and he's thinking about wanting to get his first home. And so those interest rates are a pretty big, issue as far as affordability. Yeah. So that's one of the things,
It is. But you guys, I mean, you're probably not as old as I am, but, I just remember several years ago when we were talking about if rates ever got single digit again, that would be like nirvana, right? That would be just amazing. Mm-hmm. And that was a while ago. And now, well, I can tell you that rates over the last 50 years, the average rate has been about 7.77%. So it's about where it's always been, right?
It is, but it's, but everybody always expects what's most common, right? So in the last, 5 to 10, right? It's been a very low number.
We got used to it.
So we did. Everybody got used to that. And so it's a big adjustment.
Yeah.
Back to the average, right?
Back to the average.
Right. We have very short memories, it seems. Vince?
We do, Joe. We do.
Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about you guys. So you became NoteSchool students back in March, and you were on all the weekly calls, our Deal Lab calls. We were just in. Did you guys do the office visit here?
No, we did. We did do the office visit because we'll be going there in August. We're
going to go in August. We're going to go to Dallas and go to the office and do the office visit. But you guys, we were just all in Dallas at Summer Summit and then the Titanium Mastermind. So we get to meet face to face and do all of those things. So wanted to have you guys come on. Just, I think our viewers, they enjoy hearing people's stories, right? Why they make the decisions they make and what those look like. So tell us just a little bit about why you decided to check out NoteSchool.
So I've always worked in fintech. And so a lot of times it's always good to see the inside, how the banks do really well. Yeah. So we wanted to do real estate investing, and we felt like we should be the bank, right? So we were attending a cash flow expo class, and a friend of ours, we had told them about it as well. And we missed Eddie's session because we had a conflict. Right. But our friend said, you really should go back and look at it. So we rewatched it, and then we signed up for the 2 hours Saturday, or it was a Thursday. And then we did the 3-day. And every time we went through it, right? I mean, pretty much we knew this is what we wanted to do. Yep. This is where we should join.
Yeah. And you know that guy Joe Varnador that does that 3-day class,
He's fantastic,
he is really sharp.
He is really
I'm
sharp.
very
And that Ben Hot and that Ben Hot. Those are all great groups.
Yeah, we have a lot of fun. We work really hard, but we have a whole lot of fun.
There's a lot of great people here, Joe.
Yeah.
Yeah. And, you know, you guys are also a member of the RIA. They're the Real Estate Investors Group in Greenville. And we have a common friend, Carla. And by the way, I left Carla a message the other day after you and I talked. Hadn't heard back from her, but I'm sure she's busy.
I'm sure she'll get
back. Very prosperous RIA there. So, you guys have been a member of that for a while, haven't you?
Just a year. We had lived in Georgia and we moved to Greenville a little over a year ago.
Mm-hmm.
And we joined. And it
is a fantastic RIA. There's a lot of good training there, a lot of good people. It's a very dynamic, RIA for
that's for sure. So tell me what has life been like for you guys since joining? I know there's so much information to absorb as you get in, but kind of what's it been like, right?
It is. You're right. It's been like a crazy whirlwind. I'm like, but it is in a good way. There's a lot of knowledge and information, don't you think?
There is.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, and really the thing we were looking for was we had made the decision to really concentrate on notes prior to NoteSchool, but knowing where to start and how to start was more difficult. And the good thing about NoteSchool, it provides a complete framework. You got the best training in the business, ongoing training. You've got the live labs, 3 times a week. You've got mentors, you've got liaisons, and all the people behind the scenes doing all this. So it's pretty much a complete program for us. It tells us what we need to do, and we're still going through all the training because there's a lot of training in there. And you get all the forms, training, everything you need. It's pretty much, A to Z is what it really is.
Yeah, because the mind map. So that was one of the big things is the mind maps, depending upon the strategy we want to take, guides us through what training to take, what to do. That is a nice stepping stone instead of like just jumping in and going with it.
Well, you don't know what you don't know, right? And and we do. I mean, there's 3 legs of training in NoteSchool, and there's the performing side, which is buying notes that have already been created. There's the creative financing, which is putting is buying and selling properties. Working with burnout landlords, folks that want to sell. They want positive or they want passive cash flow, and then there's the non-performing space. So, you guys, where have you, I know you've talked to, our managing director of Colonial Funding Group, which is our funding side of the company, been around since 1980. So where are you guys looking to start in the business?
So within the notes business, we had a note before we joined NoteSchool and stuff, but we did talk to Bob, and performing is where we're really comfortable with originally. And so that's what we talked with Bob about. But the ones we're actually looking to purchase are reperforming.
Yes.
So that was something new, but it's a lot of nuances in those with the reperforming that you see with those modifications that end up being interesting from an education perspective, but also from a availability of profit perspective as well, because deferred interest, deferred payments, that's money that you normally aren't expecting when you look at an unpaid principal balance.
Yeah. That's kind of that Metropolitan with Fred and Tracy back here. They used to call that bonus yield.
Bonus yield. We have a couple of those.
Yeah. So in reperforming loans, for our viewers here today, reperforming loans are loans that the borrowers got behind on them a little bit, right? Maybe it was the pandemic. We always talk about life happens, right? And so lose a job, get sick, a death in the family, a divorce, all of those things. And, people just need a little bit of a hand up. So they had gotten behind and now they're repaying again. But there's some of those nuances that, how did they take care of the past due balance and all that? And that's part of a learning process as well.
It is. And also Kevin does a really good job. I mean, Kevin, we had questions about that. Kevin walked through and said, okay, here's what happened. Here's what they did. And he's talked to the person selling them. So it was a really good process for us to learn how to look at what we had and what that means. And Kevin did a really good job in helping us out with that.
Yeah, Kevin is a good guy. He was a guest here about a month and a half ago for our listeners, Kevin Moore. So he's very, very precise. So have you guys done a lot of training in the past, or are you just, people are looking for something when they're coming into Note School? So is this kind of your first foray into training? I know it is in the note space, but
we've taken a couple of classes in the note space, but
right.
No, we've actually done a lot of training. Like we've been on Bigger Pockets. We've done, with our RIA, they have a ton of different education. Like we would be taking like training classes every other week rather.
Yeah.
I'm and it was the full gamut of real estate investing, like from wholesaling to fix and flip to buy and hold. It was all of that.
Because we were new to the business, so we had to figure out what we wanted to do, and we were learning every different aspect, and we finally kind of niched down little by little, and eventually we chose, notes. We thought maybe long-term rentals, and then we thought short-term rentals, maybe mobile homes, but as we went along, we found out, being in the bank is really, the best way to go. Something Gene's always wanted to do, being in fintech.
Well, I mean, exactly. I'm like, I've worked in fintech. I worked with the bank, so,
Right. Well, the banks really like it.
Yes, they do. They have some nice buildings.
Diamond really likes the position that JP Morgan Chase is in right now. I guess they're the biggest bank in the world, right?
Yeah. They have some nice buildings, like I said. Yeah, so they're doing something right.
So, so you guys, and when we talk about, you mentioned kind of the gamut of the property side, right? You talked about, so you can do wholesaling, right? Mm-hmm. You can do fix and flips, buy an ugly house and flip it, fix it and flip it. But it's a one-time income, right? You got to start all over again every time you do it. And then you guys had decided that maybe you thought rentals was the way to go. And so I guess you guys bought a rental house, didn't you?
We did. Yes.
We did.
Before we moved here, we actually picked one up. We put an order in a couple months before we moved here, and we didn't actually get it as a new build, and we didn't get it till August of last year, I think it was.
Yeah. I mean, it was a couple months late from what it was supposed to be. But yeah, one of the things we wanted to do is, because I know there's a lot of savings when you look at a property and do all of the fixing and flipping, but because we were relocating, we wanted not to have to try and manage a project across states while we're moving and everything like that. So we figure with the new build, we won't have to deal with CapEx right away. We thought and it was we've had 2 HVAC maintenance within a year.
We did,
really?
Yes.
Yeah, surprisingly.
I mean, it's under warranty, but still, that was things we didn't expect within a year.
That just reaffirmed our idea of going into notes,
It did.
So, but you do have now. Did you use creative financing when you bought that rental, or did you just do a bank loan, or how did you end up doing that?
So that one is actually in our retirement account. So we have it in the IRA. So, but because of that, 2 requirements, right? So to not have any unrelated business income tax, right? We pay cash, and we have to have a property management because we've got to be removed, right? It has to be a passive investment to us. We can't be active in it. So
that was one of the reasons we did a brand new build too. We figured there wouldn't be any maintenance we have to worry about for the first year. We were a little wrong on that.
And there is a market out there, for that. And there are folks that just do turnkey rentals. So that would be something that you could, if you ever wanted to market it, you could certainly market it, and then you could sell it based on a cap rate versus selling it based on what the comparative market value is, right?
We thought about doing that, and we might do that later on after we get the renter we have in our house.
Well, we're not going to get the renter out. Well, but I mean, we have
that didn't sound right.
That sounded really bad.
That sounded bad.
No, yes. I mean, no. The tenant is doing a great job, but and it was a long-term rent, so 18 months. So that was really good too, because I know a lot of people, as we moved into over a year ago, people started to be concerned about what they're doing with their properties. So an 18-month rent was really good. Mm-hmm. But, we do have probably on our roadmap that we will do some kind of creative seller financing. Yes, we watch those labs, those webinars, just keeping that in the back of our mind.
So you've been looking at some notes. So
Yep.
so where are those notes you're looking at?
We've looked at since we
I
joined.
know you've looked at a lot, but I think you've narrowed it
The
down.
ones
maybe.
that were, what are the two that we're buying?
Oh, the two
like
we're buying?
a couple.
Oh, yeah,
We're in the
yeah.
process.
The two we're buying. So we have two we're buying right now. They're going to be Connecticut and Michigan.
Mhm.
And like I said, originally we were going to just stay in South Carolina. Once we started getting a little more comfortable, we said, okay, maybe we'll go regional. And then, really, seeing Summer Summit, seeing the vendors and the vendor network we have, we can pretty much do this anywhere in the country. And that's really that level of confidence and feeling a little better. If we were going to go out there having and the people, the people we met too, a lot of people in different areas, we could call somebody now in different states that we met and say, hey, is this a good area? Would you recommend this? Could you do a quick, 5-minute look at it? That stuff, the intangibles you don't think about are really a big thing.
Yeah, and so a lot of people are shocked. Well, moved from Georgia to South Carolina, and oh my gosh, they're going to invest in Connecticut and Michigan,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Well, believe me, we were thinking that too.
Yeah, we thought the same thing.
We were thinking that too. Because like when we first talked to Bob, we were like, okay, we want to be in sort of Carolinas. We'll do the Carolinas, maybe Virginia, Tennessee, maybe Georgia.
Mm-hmm.
We were definitely stay within that region. But when we looked at the tape, we were like, okay, we can look at these, but here's some opportunities. And, the investment to value was there, the potential profit, when we looked at the payment history, when we did those initial things, and a lot of the documentation that came from Done For You just created a comfort level that we didn't have to, right?
Yeah, that's a big thing.
Right.
You have that comfort. Yeah. If you're brand new and you're looking at notes, sometimes you don't have a lot of paperwork on a lot of notes. The Done For You, we must have at least a dozen documents or more from each one of the properties.
So you talked about the Done For You. So for those of our folks out there that don't know what Done For You is, that's a program that we started inside of for NoteSchool folks, and then Colonial Funding Group, which again that's where it all started many years ago with Eddie, 43 years ago. Was in the in the note space, and so now we've got the Done For You program. You you go in, you work with the team at Colonial, and they'll send you a tape of notes. That's a really cool term for a spreadsheet, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's what it is.
We're going to use the industry speak, a tape, right? Because we're real note investors, right? Yeah. And so you'll look at a spreadsheet, a tape of notes, and I say, look, why don't you guys pick something, that you think you like, and then we'll go through it. And so how does that work? What is that process? What does that look like for you guys?
So initially, I'll let Gene tell you, because you were saying that initially we didn't even know that we could do a Done For You with performing notes.
Right.
We thought it was just for non-performing. And then Eddie on one of those Monday calls,
Moneymaker Monday.
Moneymaker Monday. He said, "Yeah, that's a
Eddie names those, by the way. I have no.
It is a tongue twister."
But he had talked about it, and he said, "Hey, if you're not on the list, go call Bob." So the next day, we called Bob, and a little bit after that, we had a call from Bob. He goes over our criteria, our risk tolerance, what we were looking for, and kind of crafts an idea what we want. So he said, we'll follow up at Summer Summit. So we did. We talked to him at Summer Summit. And I think in a couple days, we got the tape and, got it on Friday. Monday, Saturday, we said, hey, we want these two. Monday, they said, okay, you got them. And we're in the process of actually picking them up now.
Yeah. And I mean, we were doing with the tape, we had some information, but once we identified which ones they were, we got like payment histories, we got BPOs, the title reports. We were going through those. There were long, modifications to the loan. So all of those things were big education experiences for us too. And like, Vince mentioned earlier, when there were certain things we were questioning, we would send notes to Bob and Kevin, and they would come back and explain it to us a little bit. So, in addition to investing, we're being educated as well.
Kevin even got back to us on a Saturday, a Memorial Day weekend. So
that was because we wanted to make sure we got the deal. So we sent it Saturday morning saying these were the ones we wanted.
Yeah. It's a great process so far. Been great.
Bob was like, "Why the heck you bothering me?"
Well, you know, Bob, but
Yes.
No, he,
yeah,
no,
I
it was
know.
Friday
I know.
night. They were good. It was good. They were all good.
You know, so and for that, so what that does for you, it gives you confidence as you go in to you say, okay, I've got X amount of dollars that we want to invest. We want a couple of, you know, of performing notes that are going to perform for us for the long term, right? We want to be the bank, and you know, a lot of people don't, you know, your finger is hovered over that buy button on, you know, one of the platforms, and you go, ooh, I don't know. But then when you've got kind of, you know, the back office there, and you're learning while you're investing in your first few notes.
Yeah, and it helps out for anybody new to that. That's kind of tough to make that buy decision, you know, without a whole lot of knowledge. And we, like I said, we did it. We knew we had a back end people backing us up, and we could always rely on them for any kind of questions we had.
Good. So I know you guys are going to do well on those when you get those closed. So anything else you want to share with our viewers out there as far as, you know, what would be on the fence as far as the note space? I mean, you know, what does that look like, and what do you? I mean, you guys are probably going to look at some non-performing notes here at some point in the future.
We will, yeah.
Actually, because
like the first future.
One for you, we will, yeah. But I'll tell you the thing that really got us really thinking about this when we did the 3-day program. And then you guys had used the money board. So we said, why don't we put the money board up? We did a money board with our townhouse we had bought with cash and a note we had already purchased. The townhouse was 4 times as much than the note, even more than 4 times. Cost-wise. But then so we went through the thing. We were actually making more money on the note than we were on the townhouse that was 4 times more expensive. That was a big eye-opener for us. So that really reinforced the idea, okay, we need to get into the notes on that one.
And then right before Summer Summit, we had gotten the call about the HVAC second issue. Yeah. So even from there, it was like, all right, we know we're in the right space. And I mean, I think everybody has their own journey, but with our journey, it's just been, like we said earlier, it's been a whirlwind, but it's been great. It's been a great experience.
Yeah, and we learned a lot of stuff. We learned a lot of stuff. We've been doing the training. You know, we had liaison calls. We met all the people at Summer Summit.
Network.
You know, and networking, like I said, network has been fantastic. So we've been very happy with the whole process.
We do. I mean, I know that some people hear us say this every week about the ecosystem, and you know, you think supposed to be it's kind of corny, right? But you know what? It's real. It's real. It's a lot of giving and folks that are like-minded folks, you know. And at the end of the day, I always say we're more alike than we are different, and I think we're drawn to each other by that. But you know, I'm happy that you know you guys own the townhouse, because now you have a point of reference to say. And what they did, folks, was they just basically said, okay, here's what the townhouse cost, and here's my net at the end of the month, right? Yeah. When I receive a rent check, this is how much is left over out of this. And you bought a note that was a whole lot less, but the cash flow on that was a whole lot more.
And you go that over 30 years, and you know, we made less over 30 years in the townhouse than with
the rate
I think
of
the
return.
note was 15 years, you know, so big difference on those two.
Yeah, for sure. So tell us a little bit about your why as we wrap this up. You know, why you guys do what you do. I mean, that's the big thing, right?
Yes, it is.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think like everybody, right? So we're doing it as a business. So we're doing it for income as well as for wealth building for our retirement. But one of the big things, you know, I mentioned earlier, I worked in fintech, and so I was obviously in the corporate world. And our son has graduated from college and he's starting his career. But one of the things I want to make sure for him is he has a choice. So everything we're doing, we're sharing down through him. So they talk about generational wealth. We're introducing that because, you know, just like anybody else, right? Like sometimes you feel you have to have that job. And I want him to have the choice that he knows what he's doing in his life is what he wants to do. And then and also giving back.
The other thing we do, we always talk about giving back, tithing and all that. Yeah. And we want to set up, you know, programs that hopefully will last, you know, beyond our lifetime and can keep on going. That's the thing we're really looking forward to. And, you know, and I think the note space will, you know, definitely provide that.
And, you know, you don't start thinking about that as much until you get a little bit older And then you do think of that legacy, and you do worry. I mean, I'm an older guy with younger. I mean, I've got an 18 that 18-year-old just graduated from high school, and I've got a 24-year-old that she's she's a nurse, but she's getting her nurse practitioner. And my son Connor is 27. We have a new grandchild and all. But you think about that as you see that, and things are pretty interesting out there. So
as you get older,
you just want them to be okay.
Yeah. You start thinking about the generation you're going to be leaving. I mean, as you get older, that's something everybody starts to think about, I think.
All right. So any closing words?
I want to say, just in general, we've been very happy. Like I said, the ecosystem you talk about, the framework, ongoing training, everything, all that, it's been very helpful. Coming into a note space, it's hard to find. You can find a lot of good training in real estate out there, traditional real estate. Note space is more specialized. It's hard to find really good training out there. And that's what we find in NoteSchool, and we've been very happy with the whole system.
And just the people.
And the people, right? The people have been fantastic we work with.
Well, guys, thanks so much for being our guest. You did amazing, right? You really did.
Thank you.
Jean was a little bit, well, I don't know. I'm not so great on camera, but she's awfully good on camera.
Didn't I tell you she would be?
Yeah, I don't know about that, Joe.
All right. Well, guys, thank you so much. And we appreciate what you guys bring to the table and your enthusiasm and you're just getting out there and swinging the bat, right? That's what it's all about. You got to get out there and you got to swing it and you got to make sure that you're doing the right thing. And we certainly appreciate you being part of the family. So with that, just want to wrap it up and say, guys, thanks so much for being with us this week. And again, I promised you we would have amazing guests, which we did. And so just, keep in touch. And if you send us some comments on what we talked about today, and if you'd love to go to a 2-hour masterclass like Vince and Jean did, certainly noteschooltv.com/TV, noteschool.com/TV. And we will get with you and get you registered for one of the 2-hour master classes. And you can decide if you do want to go to one of our 3-day classes. You can't beat the price on the master class. It's free, right? So come spend some time with Eddie and spend some time with Max Keller, who is our Chief Market Officer, and make that happen. And if you haven't caught our monthly update that Eddie and I did last Wednesday, catch that as well. I think that's going to open your eyes as to what's going on out there, not only in the residential world, but in the commercial world as well. Thanks so much. We appreciate you. We'll see you same place, same time next Wednesday at 11:05 Central Time. Have a great week.